Hi subscribers and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Brite Advisors USA and anyone out there who potentially wants to try to understand what's going on and what their options are. Okay, to dive straight into it. The reason we're talking about this is in November, November 21st, the Securities and Exchange Commission filed charges against Brite Advisors USA. Now, I'm not really here today to get into what has happened at that advisory firm, what did or didn't happen. That's unprofessional. It's not for me here to comment on other financial advisory firms and what's happened. What I'm here to do today is to help people understand what your options are potentially moving forward, but also to help anyone else who's at the beginning of a pension transfer journey to try to avoid something like this happening to them again in the future. Okay, so if you know the background to the story, the SEC is obviously not the first to bring this up. This also happened, as you can see here, from the federal court freezing funds and assets of Brite Advisors in Australia. So this kind of started off in Australia. Now the SEC has got wind of it in the US. What this means for clients is a huge amount of panic. We have been overwhelmed here at Cameron James of inquiries, typically from US resident clients with capital with Brite Advisors USA, trying to understand what are their options, is their money safe, can they transfer out, what's happening, are they going to lose their retirement, etc., etc. Now, all these questions here, a lot of them are quite complicated, and it's literally currently proceedings at the moment with the SEC. So I'm not going to get into the litigation side of it at all today because I'm not a lawyer. What I am here to do is try to help you understand what your options are. What I would say, the number one thing you should be doing in this instance is not panic. Do not panic, okay? It's likely that whatever happened, whatever the issue was, has been an issue for some period of time. You are just learning about it now or last week or this month, or whatever it might be. The last thing you should do in a situation like this is make panic decisions and just suddenly do something. Now, what's also happening in the industry is there's a lot of people cold calling you right now. We hear this because we've seen the email exchanges from our leads that have come through the website of people saying I've been harassed by certain advisory firms telling me I have to do something by close of business today and 50% of the people are already transferred out and I'm one of the last people left in the scheme. This is just, from my understanding of everything, this just isn't even true. A lot of people are blocking transfers at the moment in terms of the trustees because even the trustees don't really know what's going on right now and they need approval from the Australian regulator before anything can be transferred out. So calm down, all right? And my job here today, and Cameron James' job, is not to scare you and tell you that everyone you're working with is etc., and you need to do something straight away. No, calm down. So what you need to do is begin your financial planning journey again. Look at your existing financial advisor that you're working with and compare the market with them against other people. Okay, what that means is potentially getting in touch with ourselves here at Cameron James, maybe one other financial advisory firm, and then talk to your existing advisory firm as well to understand what your options are. If you want to have a free consultation with myself or one of our senior advisors, you can book in below via our Calendly link to find a day and time which is suitable for you. All times will be in your local time zone if you're in the US, and obviously it will come through in our diary in the correct time zone. So, again, it really comes down to doing things calmly and simply. The last thing you want to do, as the phrase goes, my nan used to say, is jump out of the frying pan and into the fire, so to speak. Again, not that I'm saying that you're in a frying pan. We don't know exactly what's happened inside the scheme, and it's not my place to comment, but you need to be calm and you need to make rational decisions. So start a tick list. We actually have something here at Cameron James called the 12 things to look out for when you're working with a financial advisor. Calmly go through and understand. So for example, here at Cameron James, the existing Brite Advisor USA clients that we've spoken with, there's about 12 inquiries that we've had so far to date, and it's been over the past kind of 2 weeks or so. Now, the majority of them, we're just taking them through a fact-finding process. We're understanding everything that's going on in their lifestyle. We're not even focused on Brite Advisor at this stage, or their Brite Advisor pension, because what you need to start off is financial planning. What are your goals? What are your objectives? What is your risk profile? Then we understand how your assets are currently invested. And what you almost need to do is remove all of this stuff that's going on with the SEC. Remove from your head all the stuff that's going on with the Australian regulator and just sit down and say, what would my ideal financial planning look like, even if none of this legislation stuff happened? Was I in the correct type of fund? Was I in the correct type of risk profile? Was my money being managed correctly? What are my charges? What are my fees? What are my exit penalties? Is there potentially something out there which is better before any of this legislation kicked off? Do the analysis. Then, of course, we can't avoid the point of view that there is stuff happening with the legislation, and obviously people feel at risk with their capital and they potentially want to try to complete transfers out as soon as possible. But slow down. Don't make rush decisions. Get a free advice report from us which will detail your existing portfolio, again, what your costs are, what your performance has been, what your charges are, in comparison to what we would have recommended you to do or what we would now recommend you to do. Now, I have to caveat, at this point in time, it seems to be uncertain whether people complete transfers out or not. However, there will be a point in time where people will be able to complete transfers out if that is not already. That information is yet to be confirmed. So really what you want to do is you want to put yourself in an informed decision, an educated position, so that you trust someone that you potentially want to continue working with, or who knows, maybe you want to stay with your existing financial advisor, but put yourself in an informed decision of who you potentially want to work with if you are going to transfer out, if you are going to move away. Do that homework calmly and slowly. Now, it's going to be difficult for you, because you're rightly or wrongfully going to feel like, well, I've already been burnt, I've already got involved in all of this, I don't trust financial advisors, I don't trust this, I don't trust that. Okay, you can do that, but it's not going to get you very far, because you do still have a UK pension asset. Well, some of you transferred them into QROPS a lot from what I can see. So actually it's a Maltese-based QROPS asset. But again, it's still a UK pension asset. It formerly was, it's now obviously a Maltese pension. And for any of you inside SIPPs, obviously you still hold a UK registered pension. As such, the age from which you can access those benefits inside a UK SIPP is 55, changing to 57 in 2028. Even if some of you are watching this and you're like, well, I'm 60 or I'm 65 now, drawing down the entirety of your pension pot and taking no further financial advice anymore is unlikely, have to talk to your tax advisor, but unlikely a very good tax efficient strategy for you to draw down all of that income in the US, for example, and fill out your IRS forms to pay a very large amount of that money in tax. Because you have to remember, UK pension pots are free from UK inheritance tax. Now, some of you might say, Dominic, I've been in America for 10 years, I'm not going back to the UK. Sure, but I've seen and heard it before. When people get ill, grandchildren, family, people often revert back to the UK in later life for the NHS because there's a lot going in the UK. So there's a lot of value still in having a pension pot, again, free from capital gains tax in the UK for SIPPs. Obviously, lifetime allowance has now been abolished in the UK for SIPPs. QROPS lifetime allowance obviously always didn't exist, but lifetime allowance might be reintroduced in the UK for SIPPs and UK pension assets. So QROPS might still be very, very relevant for people. Now, again, on some of those points, some are saying, well, Dominic, I've been a non-UK resident for X amount of years. The UK's got nothing to do with me. I won't have any inheritance tax in the UK. Again, go talk to a specialist, go talk to an independent tax advisor, but domicility and tax residency are two very, very different things. So the point I'm trying to make here is that your pension wrapper, whether that be a QROPS or whether that be a SIPP, is still a very valuable wrapper, and it's highly unlikely that withdrawing all of that money somehow would be very advantageous for you. But if you do things calm and steady and slow, get our free advice report on what we would recommend you to do, go through it page by page, line by line, have your Zoom meeting with a financial advisor, ask them any questions. And again, some of the questions we might not be able to answer right now. And again, I'm filming this at the time of recording. In 2 weeks' time, this information might change, so it's important to get in touch with us. But currently speaking, at the moment, we've not seen that it's possible to complete transfers out at the moment. But I would say it's very important to do all your homework and due diligence. So at the moment, the day you know you complete a transfer out, you know who you want to work with, what your charge is going to be, and where you're going to go to. Now, there can be a lot of benefits to come from this as well. So here at Cameron James, we're an FCA regulated outfit. We're also regulated in Europe. We're also regulated in America and Gibraltar as well. What we do with our clients is, say we're working with a client in America or we're working with a client in Europe, we're not using our FCA license. Our FCA license is for our UK resident clients only. However, what we do here at Cameron James is use the best practice that we learn from our UK FCA license for things such as cash flow modelling. Now, cash flow modelling might be something you've never done in 5, 10, 15, 20 years of working with offshore financial advisors because it's time consuming. It's expensive to have the tool as well. We use Voyant, which is circa $3,000 a year per IFA. But the cash flow modelling you can do is just fantastic. You literally, for many clients, it's the first time they've seen in their life how their finances are going to play out until they die. Now, cash flow modelling in the UK is pretty standard practice. Not everyone does it particularly well, and I think a lot of people just get their admins to do it rather than the IFAs doing it themselves personally. But you could turn all this problem with Brite Advisors USA and the Australians up, you could turn this into a massive positive by saying, okay, I'm going to go and get real financial planning advice. We charge 1% per annum ongoing here at Cameron James, but I believe we provide a huge amount of value for that. Everyone from our clients, when they go through their cash flow plan, they get to the end and they're like, Jesus Christ, why didn't I do this 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago? Why didn't anyone tell me about this? The answer is because most people can't be bothered. It's expensive and time consuming to do proper, real cash flow planning and financial advice with people. The other point to mention on this is obviously because we are US regulated, and that's the license we will be working with if you're based in the USA, we're also able to help you on your US assets as well. So your 401ks, etc., etc. So you could take something negative, take something positive out of potentially something negative that's happened here to get better quality, ongoing financial advice for your pension assets and your other assets as well. Guys, if you have any questions, I'm sure you do, please let us know in the comment section below. We've seen a huge amount of information from our clients who've come through in the following previous weeks. We've seen a huge amount of information from them of emails they've forwarded, trustees that we've spoken to. We've already put a couple of left authorities on file. So if you don't want to book straight in for a conversation, or if you want to have a quick chat, call our number in the UK. You can get through to one of our senior advisors. You can start understanding a little bit more. Otherwise, as always, head over to the diary, get yourself booked in for your free initial consultation with one of our senior financial advisors to help you understand a little bit more about your pension assets. And as always, guys, stay safe with UK pension assets and try to avoid the cold calling. Thank you.